live stream.
Yes.
So you said the reason I had the dream about Orinoco's quest
Yes.
was because of my connection to hybrid kids.
On Earth in the future, yes.
Oh, okay. Because I was wondering, like, if you meant like a difference between the hybrid kids that I have, or if like you meant.
No, I meant what might be called a counterpart of your own from the same oversoul that is living life as a hybrid on the Earth in the future.
Okay, thank you.
So it has a degree of familiarity to you.
Okay, and then does taking birth control affect your psychic abilities? Like, does it?
It depends on your belief system.
Oh, so if you believe that you're fine, then it doesn't.
If you really, really,
Yeah.
truly know that to be true, yes. If you have questions about it, then you may be connecting into the collective consensus reality that says it might in fact affect it.
Okay.
So you have to decide for yourself what part of the collective works for you and what part of the belief system is your own individual belief system that works better for you than the collective consensus one.
Okay. And then I was reading one of the Dolores Cannon books,
Yes.
and they were talking about how, because I know that you talk about when you're part of the hybridization program, they
Yes.
take DNA material from you.
Yes.
And in one of the books, they talked about like some women are actually pregnant with a hybrid kid.
Yes, temporarily sometimes, and then they lose it or what they think is a miscarriage that's not.
So it's like actually physical, like not just an energetic kind of.
Yes, it can actually be physical. And then the embryo is taken and matured on board the ships in hybridization tanks.
Wow. Okay. And then can you explain why, like the idea of soul families, why we have them instead?
Why do you have friends?
Well, no, I mean like instead of just everybody like being one soul family, I guess.
Well, on one level, of course, everyone is one soul family, but we understand that when you people use those terms, you're usually referring to something a little bit farther down the line and closer to physical reality in spirit.
Okay.
So there are, just as you have reasons for having the friends you have, there are reasons you have for having the soul family you have that is connected to the idea of your experiences on Earth. Plus, you all have soul families that might be connected to other civilizations or other dimensions of reality. And again, on and on and on and on and up and up and up and up until, of course, at that level, everything is one.
Okay. And then,
Of course, it doesn't end there.
yeah.
Because you can have families of the one.
Right. Okay. And so, also in my own encounter experience that I had in
Yes.
September, I was aware of like being on I mean, it might not have been a ship, but it was somewhere else. But I was also aware of being in my body in
Yes.
bed.
Yes.
But when the experience was over, I was
Yes.
left with a mark.
Yes.
So I was like,
It'll happen that way sometimes.
but how does that work mechanically? Like, is your
Because sometimes when you are shifted to a different reality and a certain adjustment or change is made, remember, as above, so below. So sometimes what is altered in the template level reality on a different level will then manifest in the physical reality as well.
Okay. And then, do we have technologies? Because I know a lot of us can go to like Sedona and sense vortices,
Yes.
just intuitively.
Yes.
But are there technologies that we can build or already have?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay. Do we already have them, or?
You have all the equipment. Sometimes there are combinations of them that are sensitive enough to detect the electromagnetic vortices.
Okay.
And sometimes you have other versions of technology that need to be put together in ways that would be sensitive enough to detect the vortices. But yes, you have the technology to do that.
Okay. Cool.
Yes.
And and then last night, or maybe it wasn't last night, maybe it was 2 nights ago. You were talking about someone asked a question, and you were talking about open contact.
Yes.
And I remember in other events you've said it's
2025 to 2033, maybe 2040. And the last time
Yeah.
we said it, we said 2033
Yeah.
to 2040. Yes, it's changed a bit, but it's always fluctuating. And when we gave that reading, that was indicative of the energy at the time we gave the reading.
and
Because sometimes that window will tighten, will widen, will collapse, will expand, depending on what's going on your planet, which is one of the reasons we're talking today about the eye of the storm and staying in the center, so that it may expand again for those that remain in the center. But it will collapse and continue to collapse for those that don't.
Um, so life purpose numbers, are they
Life purpose,
like life path numbers? Like
life path numbers.
yeah, there's a book
You're
by
talking about a permission slip.
yeah,
Well, you know what we say about permission slips, yes?
yeah, how they just give you an opportunity to be more of yourself.
So if you are attracted to use it, that means it must be aligned at the moment with your belief system
Yeah.
to allow you the opportunity to circumvent your belief system.
Right. Yeah.
Because you think you need that particular tool, technique, ritual, or object to make it easier to give yourself permission to be more of who you choose to be. It's that simple. So all permission slips are valid. It just depends on what you're attracted to that will work best for you. That's why you're attracted to it.
Right. And then my last question is again about the hybrid kids.
Yes.
So I guess it's kind of a two-part question.
I love how clever you all are. It's my last 5-part question.
So I feel like so I was in a meditation one time and was really deep in it, and I felt like I went through a doorway, and
Yes.
if not all, most of my hybrid kids were there.
Yes. And so?
Was that like me actually seeing them, or just like
Yes. Yes.
okay.
What does actually mean?
Well, like
You shifted yourself through a portal to a higher dimensional plane where you had the ability in your senses to perceive that they are there.
no, yeah, I just thought like maybe because sometimes when we dream, it's like how you say that it's like sometimes it's not actually you that's in our dream. It's our
Yes, I understand. But in the case you're talking about, yes, you were able to perceive your hybrid children.
Okay, and then will I ever be able to meet them like in physical reality?
There are high probabilities of that occurring in your lifetime, yes.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Bashar! So excited. Okay.
And the first one is the connection between like spirit and mind.
Yes, you want to know about that.
Yeah,
Shall we address that before you continue to the others?
we can address that one first. Yeah.
All right. Spirit is your natural state, a non-physical expression of your existence as a consciousness, or what might be called soul at first. The soul then, in desiring to have what you would call a physical experience, will in a sense create a division within itself. And in that division, there is the non-physical higher mind that remains in spirit to act as a guide for the physical mind that is then created in order to have the physical experience. When the physical mind, which is composed of belief systems that reinforce the validity of physical reality as being real through the idea, the reinforcement through emotions and the idea of thoughts and behaviors and experiences that reinforce the belief system, that is the structure of the physical mind. And as the physical mind has its physical experience, it sort of takes the unfired clay of the soul and starts turning it into the ceramic of the spirit that is specifically representative of that particular personality's experience in physical reality, which is then used by the soul to expand. So soul, higher mind, physical mind, spirit through the experience, back to the soul. Does that make sense?
Well, yes, you're getting there.
All right.
So, for instance,
Yes.
I consider myself always in high spirits.
Well, all right.
Always in high spirits.
Yes.
But not always in correct mind. So I'm trying to
All right. Yes.
sync those two.
Yes. So the
High
idea...
spirits,
Yes, I understand.
correct mind.
I understand. So the idea of the mind not being aligned with the high spirits is due to belief systems that construct the physical mind, and whether or not those belief systems are out of alignment with who you truly are as a spirit or in alignment with who you truly are as a spirit. So the idea is to examine what belief systems you might be holding on to, maybe even unconsciously, that are out of alignment with who you truly are vibrationally. That's the process by which you bring the mind, the physical mind, into alignment with the spirit. Does that make sense?
Yes, yes.
So fear-based belief systems, negative-based belief systems will always push you out of alignment with your true vibrational spirit. Positive belief systems will bring you back into alignment with the vibration of your spirit. It's as simple as that. So finding out what those belief systems are that are making you out of alignment and letting them go will bring you back into alignment with your high spirits as a mind. Now, the heart receives the vibration, communication directly from the higher mind, and then bounces that communication into the physical mind, but it has to go through the filter of the belief system. So the heart reminds you, in a sense, as a physical reminder of who you really are, and thus gives you an opportunity to examine what belief systems the physical mind may be holding on to in its construction that isn't allowing it to receive that communication as clearly as it could. Yes? Does that make sense?
Yes.
All right. Does that answer your question?
The first question, yeah.
Yes, I know. Does that answer the first question?
Yes. Yeah.
All right. And what is your second
Now, the
question?
second question is how to listen and hear better as a way to sustain a higher synchronicity.
Well, again, we have given you all the formula. You act on your passion every moment that you can on whatever contains the highest amount of excitement more than any other option. You do that to the best of your ability, taking it as far as you can until you can take it no further. And then you look for the next thing that contains more excitement, even just a little bit more attractiveness, more curiosity, more passion than any other option, no matter what it is, no matter how simple it is. And you act on that one next and take it as far as you can until you can take it no further. And you do all these actions with absolutely zero assumption, zero insistence on what the outcome is supposed to be. And no matter what manifests, no matter how it looks, from the actions you take, you remain in a positive state so that you can extract a beneficial effect from whatever it is that manifests. Because whatever it is that manifests, even if it's something that you neutrally and objectively don't prefer, you have to know it's got to be there for a reason that could serve you. And by remaining in a positive state, as you say, remaining in high spirits and not giving over to the definition of the negative idea or the non-preferred idea in a negative way, then you will remain in a state that will allow you to receive the benefit from that thing having manifested. And that simply means what you're doing is using what you don't prefer in a way that you do prefer. And that allows you to sustain that energy because you're making choices that are in alignment with clear definitions of who you are and what you prefer to be. Is that making sense?
Well,
I'll add something to that, but does that make sense for the moment?
yes, because some time ago I heard you talked about that, and
Yes.
I went out and realized that.
Yes.
Do what excites you, and
With
the more you do it, you get more excited.
And you do that with no insistence, no assumption
Right, right.
of what the outcome ought to be, because the truth is, when you're honest with yourself, you understand the truth is you have no clue what the best result actually needs to look like. None. The physical mind is not designed to know how something needs to happen. The higher mind knows how something needs to happen. So it's about letting go of the negative ego assumption that the physical mind is supposed to know exactly what things are supposed to turn out to be. It really has no clue. Sometimes you might coincide in the physical mind with something that manifests that is coming from the higher mind as well. But more often than not, you really have no idea what things are supposed to happen that really do serve you best. So the idea is to let go of any insistence that you do. Now, also, as you say, to maintain that particular state is simply an understanding of how things work and realizing that what we're giving you as this information is not a philosophy. It's actually literally a description of how reality works. It's an instruction manual. So if you just follow the instructions, it will work to your advantage. That's the way it's designed. The idea also is to ask the questions at every moment where you might question yourself, at every moment where you might seem to be out of alignment. You stop and stay in that moment and ask the question in one of two ways. What would I have to believe is true about myself in order to be experiencing what I'm experiencing in my emotions, my thoughts, my behavior, or the overall experience of my life? And if you listen, you will get the answer as to what that belief is. Or, because most of you are so used to dealing with the idea of fear, you can ask the question in another direction. And that is, if I just allowed myself to be who I really prefer to be, what am I afraid might happen? That will usually reveal the negative belief system that then you can work with to let go of. And letting go of it is simply an issue of examining it closely enough to understand that it actually makes no sense anymore to hold on to it. And once something makes no sense, it's gone. If you still hold on to that belief, if you still experience the misalignment, that should be your first clue that there is another belief making that one continue to make sense to hold on to. And as soon as you get down to examining the foundational belief, the negative belief that doesn't work for you, and let that one go, all the secondary negative beliefs will collapse along with it. But sometimes a foundational negative belief will hide under secondary negative beliefs and allow you to think that you have let the foundational one go when all you've done is let a secondary one go. Because all beliefs need to perpetuate themselves in order for you to continue to have a physical reality experience, because physical reality isn't real. They have to convince you that it's real. And the only way a belief can convince you that it's real is convince you that what it's telling you is a fact. But negative beliefs will only tell you negative things about yourself. You have to let go of buying into the idea of what it's telling you. And sometimes, to perpetuate themselves, negative beliefs will hide under other beliefs or make you so afraid to let go of them that you simply won't do it. You have to see through those things as the way the negative belief is simply designed to perpetuate itself. What they're telling you are not facts. They're just a way of keeping you from letting them go. Is this helping?
Yes.
Does that answer the second question sufficiently?
Well, part of the second question was you sort of answered it to the gentleman that came before me.
Yes.
It's about there again. It was you said that when you're experienced,
Yes.
that's why your mind was able to bring it up. All right, you have a positive experience,
Yes.
like I was talking about listening and hearing.
Yes.
So you had that experience. And I was talking about sustaining that.
What I'm saying is the sustaining is automatically built in. It's not an extra thing you have to do. What we're talking about when we give you the formula is a complete kit. It comes with everything you need, including the idea of sustaining. Because let me put it to you this way. If you're actually acting on your excitement, if you're truly acting on your passion, what other choice would you make that would seem more reasonable? You wouldn't make another choice to do something else. So the very idea of simply continuing to choose to act on your excitement because no other choice seems sensible automatically contains the sustaining. Because you're simply not seeing any other choice as making sense. Right?
Right.
So if no other choice makes sense, you never leave that state, you're automatically sustaining it by no other choice making more sense. It's that simple. Does that answer it?
Yes, thank you.
All right. And the third?
That's it. That's it. Because the answer, the gentleman before me,
All right.
you said something to him that answered the third.
All right. How synchronous of us.
Thank you.
Thank you. Remember, it just all comes down to making choices. This is your greatest power, the freedom to choose. So just decide what it is you prefer to choose and keep choosing it. Otherwise, you're saying that something contrary to that makes more sense. Examine the belief that would make you believe that and realize it makes no sense. Just keep choosing what you prefer. Why choose anything else?
Hey, Bashar.
And to you,
You know,
yes.
Even setting up fundraisers and things like that. And
Yes.
then I started to do more inner work,
Yes.
and I realized that, as
Well, they can go hand in hand,
yes, of course. So I'm noticing
Yes.
that, I don't really watch the news. I don't really participate in any political, activities or
All
marches
right.
or anything like that. I do vote, but
Yes.
I'm wondering if I'm kind of starting to blur the line of inner peace and apathy.
No. Inner peace is not apathy.
In my personal case,
Yes.
that I somehow, choose to believe that my apathy is inner peace.
Why? You know the difference between the two, or you wouldn't have two different words for it.
That is true.
I know. So you know what apathy feels like, and you know the difference between that and inner peace.
Okay.
So where's the confusion?
I guess the confusion is, I don't know. I guess the confusion is I don't feel exactly called to take strong actions.
What do you feel called to take strong actions in?
Well, my personal creative projects and
Such as?
such as
What are you excited about? What are you passionate about doing that you're not doing?
dancing and other creative, like traveling, and I do those things.
All right. But is there something else you're not doing that you would prefer to be doing?
Well, when a friend was sharing with me about what's really going on at the borders, with the
Yes.
what the ICE is doing and all that stuff, and I was, my first reaction was, well, this is,
What would you prefer to be doing? I don't need the backstory.
I feel like I should be more involved.
Not should. What do you prefer to be doing?
I prefer to do creative projects that make me feel happy, but I feel like maybe I can, on a personal level, make small donations or,
Do whatever you wish, but what we're attempting to lead you to understand is that if you are acting on your true passion, some expression of that will actually be helping more than anything you could do that is not an expression of your passion.
Okay.
You understand? You may not understand how those things are connected.
Yeah.
But they are if you are working and doing things in the action of your passion, because other people will see that and you will have more effect on them than you otherwise might doing the things you think you should be doing in the way you think you should be doing it that isn't coming from your passion.
Okay.
But only feels like an obligation. And when you do that, that's where the apathy comes in, because you're not excited about what you're doing, so you no longer care. So when you do what you love to do, you are more of a living example to others than you may know. Even someone you may never meet, seeing you walking down the street being this wonderfully happy person because you are creatively expressing yourself, may have more of an effect on that stranger than you would ever have an effect on people you know when you're doing something that you don't love to do. It may change everything for them in their lives just by seeing the living example you are of following your passion. You don't have to know exactly how those people get impacted by you. You just know that they are being impacted where they need to be. By you being yourself, that's the whole idea. When you are the shape of the puzzle piece you were created to be, you fit in the puzzle picture and help create the big picture that supports all of the pieces that make it up. But if you're not being the shape you were made to be, you don't fit, you're not helping to create the big picture cannot be experienced by the other pieces as supporting them. Make sense?
Yes.
Does this help?
Yes.
So follow your passion, act on your passion in whatever expressions naturally come, and you will be led through synchronicity to do the things, and sometimes they may look similar to what you were doing before, but you will have found a new way to do them from your passion that you may not have considered before because you weren't in the proper state to see that that was also an alternative way to do it.
Yes.
You have to be the vibrational state to even conceive of the way to do certain things that are representative of that state. Otherwise, those thoughts, those inspirations don't come to you because you're not on the wavelength to receive them.
Okay.
All right? So start with the formula and just see what happens, see where you're led, and whatever opportunity is presented to you, always look for the way to do it in the most exciting way you can, and have the discernment to tell the difference between whether it is truly representative of your preference or not. And of course, the remember to make sure that you're not the one dampening the excitement with negative belief systems you're unaware of.
Okay.
Yes? Does this help?
Yes.
All right.
One follow-up question may have just the same answer.
Maybe.
But so I started out creatively as an actor, and I used to pursue it a lot. And
Yes.
then I started to pursue other things that were
Yes.
more exciting to me. And then
At the time.
At the time.
Yes.
And so I kind of just not really focused on acting. And then the weird thing was
Yes.
I started just booking jobs and getting more auditions.
Yes.
But my excitement is still feels like somewhere else. But this keeps happening. So I keep following through.
Again,
Yeah.
are you blocking what could be exciting with your assumptions that it's not?
Yes.
Then use your imagination to see that these things are coming to you in a way that gives you an opportunity to really look for other ways in which you might be able to find the excitement in that, or finally and ultimately determine that it is simply not your preference, not your excitement, but because you keep repeating it for yourself, you are trying to tell yourself something. And it might simply be that you have too many negative fear-based belief assumptions about what doing that may actually mean, when you could be using your imagination to figure out how it would be more exciting to do it in a different way than most people might assume. Think, as you say, outside the box. And finally, actually even get to the point where you realize there is no box.
Sounds good. Thank you.
You are welcome. Now, I'm going to audition you right now.
No.
Show me a person finding their way back to their seat.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Cut. That's the take.